Okay, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're just going to give it a few moments before we begin. All right, we can begin. Okay, just giving it another minute or two. Okay, let's begin. So, thank you everybody for joining us today for our first ever the Optical Accelerator series. I'm your host. My name is Dr. Fallon Patel. I'm an optometrist, and we are holding these webinars in conjunction with the Optical Prism for you. And so our goal is to really provide some business insights and tools to help you grow your practices, your clinics, your opticals, month over month, in a place where you can just come for support. If you have any questions or any answers, we're happy to help you along the way. And you will be getting structured insights and learnings each month. And afterwards, we will be sending you a PDF printout, a worksheet that you can work on. And then the following month, we will begin our calls with any question and answers that you may have. So without further ado, let's begin. I'm just going to turn this off for a moment and share a little bit about me. So you may be wondering, who am I? So I've been in practice. I graduated from the University of Waterloo in 2011, and I now have 5 clinics that I run and own. And we have over 50 employees and over 18 associate doctors. And so, I've learned a thing or two along the way. And what I really wanted to share, though, there was a time when I actually felt completely overwhelmed running my clinics. And I was always wondering, if growth would honestly, if it would just break me instead of build me. And, we all have a tendency in healthcare, especially, to put everyone else first. We put our patients first, we put our team first, we put our families first, and we forget about, how to take care of ourselves as the leaders. And, have you ever felt like you've been giving everything to your business, but questioning, if it would ever give back to you? And so this is where we're at. And, today, what most people know me for is that I built multiple thriving clinics. I've now launched a new venture called Pulse IQ, which I'll share a little bit more about this throughout the webinar. And now I get to speak and mentor across North America. So this is where I am today. But what you may not know about me is that in my early career, early on, I really, really struggled. And I struggled deeply with burnout. And I was always overwhelmed with all the demands of leading a practice, second guessing myself daily, and just wondering if I would ever figure this out. There were days that I just felt like I was working harder than ever, but with little to nothing to show for it. And I really questioned whether I was truly cut out for this. Now, this is actually a true story, and this is not too long ago where COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we shut down dramatically our operations, but cash flow or payroll was still due. And I remember having to ask my husband to borrow money to pay for my payroll, my overhead. And that's when I realized, you know, I'm not very good at running my business. I don't know anything about the finances, how to grow, how to be in charge, how to be in control, how to market, and all these things. And I just realized it was just such a hot mess. And so I really had, that was a critical point for me, actually. I really had to learn that, no one was going to come to rescue me. And I had to really learn to be my own rescue. And so I really went into learning about self-development books. I invested in mentorship, even when I didn't have the money to do. I just invested because I realized I have all these people and they're relying on me to provide growth. I need to do something better. And so eventually I built systems, and step by step, I learned how to lead. I learned how to lead with clarity instead of the chaos. I learned, that going 3 steps forward and 1 step back was totally fine as long as I was moving in the right direction. And yeah, it wasn't perfect. It was pretty messy, pretty awkward and raw for those that have been with me along this journey. But each stumble forward has really gotten me out of this. And that's really the true story. And the reason why I share this today is because I know I'm not the only one who has felt this kind of pressure, who has had doubts or disbelief or, even overwhelm. And if you've ever asked yourself, am I enough? Or if you've ever wondered if you could really step into your next level, I just want you to know that victory is so possible for you too. Your victory is coming and it is possible for you. And so that's why really, we're very passionate about the Optical Accelerator series, and why we really began this program for you is to be able to also help others along the way. So if you're here to learn, and I see that you guys have all access to the chat, just give me some emojis, give me some love, say I'm here, I'm all in. Yes, give me a Y if you're all in to learn. Hit some stuff up in these, that would be amazing. And so we'll begin with the series here. So we're going to begin here. Today's topic is going to be about building frames to fortunes, how to build a profitable optical business without burnout like I did, which I'm not proud of. But before we begin, we want to have some house rules. So right at the bottom, you can post your questions, the bottom right. We really welcome constructive and positive comments are always welcomed. Respectful and supportive engagement keeps the information valuable for everybody. So let's stay focused on learning and growing together. All right. So what my promise is for you today is that you're going to learn why most optical businesses plateau, how to unlock hidden revenue through your bundles, how to scale through your people, not just your products, and really small shifts that can drive big results. So we want to be able to use whatever you have right now without spending anything extra. And let's get the needle moving to make you more profitable so you can further reinvest into your business. And so our big promise is to turn your frame board into a fortune board without burning out. Because I can tell you, it does get easier. It truly does. And here are the top reasons why most optical businesses plateau. So, sometimes you feel like you've seen all these patients, you're busy, but your profits are flat, like me several years ago. Remember COVID story. Again, you're not alone. These roadblocks are very common. And the reason why this happens is, you have flat revenue per patient, meaning you might be seeing, let's say, 50 patients a week, 100 patients a week, but your average revenue is just that one offer that you have. And that one offer you've been doing on rinse and repeat for the last 10 years. That's the number one reason why we're often flat. The second reason, most common reason, is inconsistent capture rates. So when we're looking at capture rates, if you have a doctor, so I know we have some opticians, some ODs on the call today, but if you really look at that capture rate or conversions, you can capture from OD to sale, how does that look? What is that percentage? And is that consistent throughout the day, throughout the week? You can start to figure out where the gaps are, and really you can start to figure out where your strengths are when you have this information, so that you can invest more into those strengths. And when you figure out the aha moment, you can double down on that and see growth. Another thing is reliance on one superstar optician. And we see this time and time and again. Managers in the optical, I work in corporate opticals, and sometimes we have these superstar managers where, they do everything. They're amazing sales, amazing, just an amazing employee. But when they go on vacation, the business tanks. It may even be for you. Like when you go on vacation, I know in the beginning, I had a really hard time leaving my business and going on vacation because the business would tank. But that means that I was that superstar employee. And that's how most of us really get into these positions and leadership positions. So you are that superstar, but you have to learn the skills to delegate and keep people accountable and really just be consistent. These are the key takeaways for your business to operate and run without you. And it really does get easier over time, I promise. So the root cause for why optical businesses plateau is because you have a lack of scalable systems and you're not measuring, so no metrics. So the ceiling isn't really your patients, it's actually systems. So you can only sell so many single pairs of glasses. To grow sustainably, you need to shift from those one-off sales to solution-based selling. So think consistencies, bundles, and tracking. And what I mean by this is how I explain this to our team is, and if you've ever been to like an expo or Vision Expo or any, CAO or any of these exhibition halls, and you see all the exhibitors there, I mean, it is eye-opening. If you haven't been, I encourage you to go, because when you're there, you're just amazed by all of these companies are investing in innovation and technology and eye care. Like there's so much happening right now. I felt like the first maybe 10 years of practice, it was very slow. I felt like I was just doing the same thing, repeating over and over again. In the last 5 to 7 years, things have really taken off, and there's so much more where that human person has complexities that we need to address. And that's where all these companies are investing, throwing millions of dollars in our industry. But what are we doing to keep up? And so for me, that's what solution-based selling means, is we have a human, we have a person. This person has all these different needs. How are we uncovering them? In our practice, we really focus on myopia management, dry eye, and so forth. So that one person has maybe a myopia management concern, maybe a dry eye concern, maybe they want contact lenses, maybe they need glasses, maybe they need transition glasses, maybe they need sunglasses, maybe they need sport goggles. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we need today, in the day and age. And this is what solution-based selling means. It means that you're not just doing a single vision pair of glasses and seeing them again and hope to see them again in 2 years. You are really trying to figure out what this person needs and what are their concerns. And you, as the expert, how are you going to position all that you know in the offerings for that patient? So think consistency, think bundles make it easier, and think tracking. And this is really where you can unlock hidden revenue. So one way we did it in our practice is we started bundling our services. So we started bundling our diagnostics. And really, we became extremely profitable. Our margins are really, really great. And we were able to invest tons of technology back into the practice because of this. An example that I can bring to the optical world is, when a patient comes in, there's often so many options on the script that they get overwhelmed. Do I need this? Do I need this? Do I need this? Like, can you just tell me what I need? Like, often patients are just wanting to come for your trust, and they just want things simplified for you to just tell them what they need. So a great way of doing that is bundling services. And so you can have packages where you just group, products together. A clarity package for someone who may want, exceptional clarity package. You may want to bundle AR, blue light, hydrophobic coating, right? And you can have different tiers to that, because you can have different tiers to the AR. So you can have kind of good, better, and best, right? You can have that Crizel best coating for your patients in that tier. But all the other stuff, like they don't want to have to think about it after. So make it easier for them and just have simplified bundles and group it all together as a one package. All you want your patient to say is yes, yes, I'm in. That's it. You don't want to say yes and then another and then another and then another. You're going to lose them. And that's where, sales kind of gets really heavy, and patients don't really like it. So that's from my experience, and that's how, we've been able to grow our practices, is by just offering one or two packages that make sense for a patient. You have to make sure the value is there. You're meeting them where they're at, and the value has to be far greater than, what you're charging for. So that's one strategy I highly recommend. If you're not doing it, consider the way you have your offerings in your clinics. Another one is subscriptions, so contact lens subscriptions. So when you have these, you want to also offer perks. So we're starting to test this model as well in our clinic. If you look online at our online distributors, Clearly, Kits, this is what they do, because subscriptions are scalable. It is something that, just grows your revenue, and it's predictable revenue to your business, month over month and year over year. So subscriptions, you can think about contact lens subscriptions, offerings, or you can also think about things like warranties. These are easy things that you can implement in your practice to scale and to grow revenue and predictable revenue. So you never have to run into that cash flow crisis that I shared. So those are two ways to do it. So when you're bundling, you're increasing that value for the patient and predictable revenue for you. You're giving them reason to want to come back. So here's a quick workshop moment. So we're going to ask, just think about it as I shared those kind of ideas. And there could be a plethora of ideas. As I mentioned, in our practice, we bundled our OCT, myograph, or dry eye scans, and retinals together, because we found that it was too many things that once they said yes, and then you're offering something else, it just was not clicking. So just one package, put it all together. And, if they have these concerns, would you go for this dry eye scan and the health scan, health and wellness scan for the OCT? Just make it easier for them. So we started to do that as an example. So let's take a moment, and I want you to think about, what's one service that you could bundle tomorrow? Make it easy. Don't make it hard. Write it down and think about those simple shifts. So these simple shifts, if you begin today, it compounds. Like, it compounds month over month. Our results, we track all this. It just gets better and better. Like, it just keeps growing. It's the gift that gives. So, but you have to be knowing where those scalable models are. And that is, we call it in sales, they call it an upsell, a cross sell, or a subscription, or scalable methods. But for us, it's like bundling our services, bundling our packages and our products, our offerings. Because remember, I mentioned that one patient now has so many different needs. So how are you going to figure out a way to address that person and not lose sleep over the fact that you didn't help them with their dry eye, or you didn't ask, and you didn't consistently ask across, like, I lose sleep over it, thinking our doctors are not asking about dry eye, or we're not uncovering it in a systematic way with consistency, and that patient is leaving without the care because we just didn't ask. So some things to think about. I'll leave that with you, and you can write it down in your workshop after. Okay, so here's another really, really important thing. So you want to be able to scale through people as well, not just your products. So remember, it's your team that brings everything to life. They bring your bundles to life. They bring your subscriptions to life. And so training your staff is really, really important. And when you have that, when you wrote down that one thing that you may want to implement tomorrow, you got to think about, scripts that will be ready for them to use so that they know what to say, and role plays. And prior to the age of AI, this would take me, like, this was a roadblock for me. I don't know if you're like me, but my brain doesn't do this kind of stuff, right? I just don't want to, I don't even want to go through all the little things. I just want it done, do this, and I expect it to be done. But that's not how it works. So you really need to take it step by step and come up with the scripts and the role plays to get your team bought in on the vision and the purpose. And it takes time. It really does. But the planning would probably take me before a couple months to do. But now with AI, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever it is, pick one, put in your bundle that you want to do or your subscription model, throw it into ChatGPT, say, I have a clinic, please come up with scripts and role plays for me, and done. It's done for you, instantly, and you can revise the prompts, and it's done for you in 10 minutes, your entire planning. So planning and SOPs and things like that should not take you any time. And this is where AI can really help you speed along a lot of your planning for growing your business. So if you don't have it right now on your phone, I encourage you to download it. I have it. I've had it for about a couple years now, and I have the paid version, but I don't think you even need the paid version. The free version is really, really good for this kind of stuff, for scripts and role plays and SOPs. I encourage you to do it. And then the next step after that is to book a meeting with your team. And in that meeting, maybe have them come up with scripts and role plays and get them to start using AI to help you move your business forward. So that's how you get your team kind of bought in without you dictating them and telling them what to do. Maybe have them express how they think this is going to work in your practice. That tends to work well too. So that's how we're going to get all this stuff off the ground. It does take a little bit of work getting your team aligned. And I think that's the missing link that most clinic owners and practice owners and, team and even associate doctors just don't have the time to invest in this thinking and a way of doing something. But if you're ever stuck, just ask AI. It can get you out of so many roadblocks, and it can help you move forward. The next point here is to track KPIs weekly. So I'm going to ask the question if anybody knows what KPIs are. But I think next time we'll have a different webinar so we can get some chats in here. And so KPIs. KPIs are short for key performance indicators. So what does this mean? Now, I mentioned my background, corporate optometry. They're a very, very strong company. And this is how big businesses track predictable growth year over year as KPI. So I always thought, I hated looking at the numbers. I always wondered why is it so, crazy on the Excel sheets? This is where most of the execs live. I didn't really understand again until I had that mentorship, where if you have an employee and you haven't established a KPI for that employee, so anytime you hire for a new role, the only way you can set your expectation with that person is by having goals and KPIs for them. If you don't have that, I don't know if you're like me, sometimes then you're thinking, they're not doing anything. They're not meeting the expectation that I wanted them to. That's because I wasn't clear about setting those KPIs. And so it really makes for team communication and dynamics so much better. People really want to strive for excellence. They don't want to do nothing. It's just when there's no communication around goals and KPIs, it's just disjointed, and you just kind of, flow through, your business. And then, things are just not predictable. You can't predict your revenue. You can't predict your growth. And so establishing KPIs are really important. I'll give another example why this is important. Let's say you have an operations manager or an office manager. Their KPI, because it's might be, or let's say you have a customer service agent or somebody, a customer servicer in the practice behind the front desk. Their KPIs might be something like Google reviews, X amount of Google reviews and quality of standard. It might be patient retention, right? And it might be something like an NPS score, a net promoter score, which ranks the overall service that your clinic is providing. So those could be, some KPIs for somebody in service. If you have a marketing team, there might be some different benchmarks for marketing, which we'll go over in subsequent webinars and learnings. But for today, I just wanted to establish why this is really important. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be pick 2 or 3 things and let's set some goals and benchmarks. Let's put some numbers to it. That way we are aligned to growth. And that's as simple as it is. And once you start doing that, you'll see your employees start to show up differently. Your team starts to show up differently. There's more energy and vibrancy to, the importance of them coming to work. So KPIs, so important. Here are some that you can track about what we're talking about on this discussion. And that is capture rate. So you may want to set a weekly KPI, like for your sales team or your AODs or your optical staff capture rates. Perhaps you may even want to look at the multiple sales units, right? Just to see what's happening there. If there's an opportunity for second pair of sun, computer glasses, or, there's so many different needs. You may want to start tracking that as an opportunity, because how many times, you've sold to one person, they come in and they buy 5 or 6 pairs of glasses, right? So it's very much possible, but you have to know how to uncover their needs and what the patient really, really is looking for. So it's really important to track these metrics just to see what's happening. And once you learn, you'll learn how to gauge and do things differently. Warranties, we briefly talked about that earlier. If you don't have warranties, this is a really easy way to, again, scale your growth. It's through warranties. And you can talk to your contact lens or your optical distributor about how their warranties are. They'll know some other clinics that also have some warranty plans, and they'll share with you through your reps. So use your reps, figure out what others are doing in the industry for that. If you don't have that, you will want to add that on, because that is a very, very good offer. You'll already start generating predictable revenue by adding this. And then the last thing with your team is we need to recognize and reward performance. So we are all humans at the end of the day, and we all want to do what's well and what's good, especially in healthcare. And so finding a way to recognize and reward performance can really go a long way. So we like to recognize people. We have a Slack channel for our business, and inside of our Slack channel, we have a wins and wows channel, where not just myself, but everybody kind of contributes in there. If there's some amazing thing that somebody did, they give them a shout out. So for example, right now, we've implemented something called Zest lid debridement for dry eye treatments. And we're really trying to get this more prevalent in our practice. And so we're tracking these, and we're, it's very fairly new. And so when someone gets one, a staff member or a doctor gives a shout out, hey, shout out to so-and-so, was able to help a patient with this Zest treatment, way to go. And so these are really, really important, because it's giving you the evidence that it's working. And when the rest of your team see these wins and wow moments of these new initiatives and the evidence, you want to share it. And so when you're talking about people, what I find is we're always inventing, trying to do new things, we're always adding new things to our practices. But you'll always find that you'll have 1 or 2 early adopters that just kind of fly with it, and they're successful off the bat. Then you have the majority of the people that come along later, and then you have the few people that just take a little bit longer to get the habits in. But what you do in the beginning is, once you get that first confirmation of, hey, Susie got that first warranty, sales, it works, she did it. Can you please explain to us on our next meeting or next call how she did that? And when the team hears it from another team member, it is very empowering, to recognize and actually reward that performance of that employee. But the others are feeling it too, like, wow, he did that, I can do that too. So really, really important to do that as well. So all these examples in action really lead to a motivated team. And you'll find that it's just this simple framework. If you can do it once, it's just the gift that gives. You can do it again and again, and you start to build a self-sustaining growth engine, really. And this is where, consistency will really matter. And you'll want to get to a point where you can empower your team to do it without constant oversight. It will happen. And the outcome, your patients are going to experience very high value each and every time they come through your clinics. And that's always the goal. It's always about the customer, always about the patients. We're very laser focused and obsessed about the people that come and see us. We want to make sure that they are coming back to see us and choose us year after year. We want to make sure we go above and beyond and provide them with the best level of care. And I know that's why you guys are all here today, because you also care about that. So small shifts and big results. You don't need to have a full overhaul. I know it can be very, very kind of overwhelming sometimes, but I just start small and, start with maybe 3 key shifts. Remember what I said, we need to transition from the one sale to solution-based selling or solution-based uncovering. All you're doing is connecting with someone and figuring out a way, what else is it that they need. You can even come up with an intake form. So this is where we're at right now, where we're just missing too many things as people are very complex these days. And remember I said that person has a lot of different needs. And so the only way we can be consistent is if we have an intake where we're asking all those questions. So you can even have an intake form. Hey, do you mind, you're coming in here to look for glasses. Why don't you fill this out? I can, tailor a treatment plan once I know, if you fill out the short survey, we can figure out a better solution for you. So these are just some simple things. If you're thinking like it's overwhelming or you're not too sure how you're going to get it across everybody, you can do that, or you can just start by offering maybe one new product or feature that's different from the one-off sales. Remember, we talked about strategic bundles. These are excellent, and they really provide high margins, and you will quickly start to run more profit to your practice, so that you can invest in that fancy, next machine that you've been wanting to have. And that's the growth cycle we want to get you guys in, so that you can have the power to go to these expos and have enough funds to bring in the latest and greatest technology for your patients. Now, that's the cycle we want you all to be in. And then team training, you just have to think about establishing some KPIs, some goals. If you don't have any benchmarks or percentages, just start with your employee, ask them what their goal is. That's what we do for our associate doctors. What's a goal you set for yourself this month? What do you want to contribute to your patients? How do you think you can do things differently? And just have them come up with a goal and let them, start working towards something. And then once you have previous year and this year, then you can set percentages on top of previous year to grow. And always have that accountability and growth. So you always follow up and have somebody on your team that's very good and consistent with that follow-up. Because without the follow-up, nothing gets done. So everybody needs a little nudge, a little motivation to keep them going. And, they need to be recognized and celebrated once they achieve that growth. And so once you do all this, you will have higher revenue, that's for sure, happier patients, and sustainable growth. So tools that make it easy. So this is my program, my venture that I was talking about before. It's called Pulse IQ Solutions. And so, as I mentioned, sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming tracking all these things and pulling reports from this EMR to here and here. And how do I organize all that? And so we created an all-in-one system. It's an operating system where you can track your metrics. Anything you want to set, you can track. We can work with your EMR and get the data. So it's not patient data, it's just metrics and, numbers data. And so we can track things like bundles that you want to create. We can establish KPIs and staff motivation. We have a goal section in here, which we're creating scorecards for our employees. And there's also training, a repository of training in here. So we're not repeating ourselves and we don't have to worry about, always training, retraining. And the best thing about it is it's all powered through AI. So let's say, for example, you're tracking bundles and Susie's down 2 to her goal today. the AI will automatically pop up, or you would push it and it will tell you for your day where your opportunities are and what to do next. So it's pretty crazy, very powerful. We're beta testing it right now in our clinics, and we welcome you to join us here. So here you see some of the training I have here, some of the modules, and these are actually AI avatars. So let's say if you have a clinic or you run multi-clinics, they may want to see you being the trainer. So we would just do a 3-minute recording of you on a video. We can replace all the content with you teaching the courses and curriculum. And if there's something in here you want to add, we can add it. Really just run beta. We want to make this as perfect for you guys to save you time, to make the training and the managing part of things kind of intuitive, to give you that freedom and time back. So please sign up. I would love your support. If you do sign up, we have so it's free. It's free right now. It's beta. So you're just going to sign up for the wait list. So you can just sign up, and we give you some cool tips every couple days on how to grow your business. You'll receive a free PDF growth tool. It's called the Top 5 Practice Leaks Costing Clinics Thousands. So we came up with top things in our business that were kind of the easy leaks that we stopped and just started to generate more revenue to our practice. So sign up, put your email in there. It's all free. You'll get those resources. And I'd appreciate your support. And if you do want to have some beta testing with us, just reach out. Be happy to have you do that. We have an entire tech team and support that can get you started. Okay, so that brings us to a closure of the Optical Accelerator. And so there might have been a lot of things today over, and I imagine there's a ton of questions you might have. But just to kind of highlight, we went over bundles, staff trainings, metrics, and tools that you may need to be successful. And after today's webinar, you will receive a worksheet. It's very, very simple. I just ask that you do it. You took the time to show up today. So this is for you. What you put in is what you will get out. Get that pen and paper out. Write something down on those worksheets. Whatever goal, whatever's in your heart from whatever we taught you today, just write it down. You know, there's something powerful when you do that. You are pretty much telling the universe what you want. And, you know, the act in writing something out can really solidify that. You'd be surprised what comes back to you. If you're ready to receive and you're ready to try, you'll be surprised what comes back to you. So I really ask you to do that with the worksheets. And we look forward to seeing you next month. So we will have the Optical Accelerator series next month, October the 28th at 7 p.m. And the topic is going to be part 2 to today, because there might have been a lot of information today. It'll be kind of supplementing today's learnings to get you to that 7-figure optical business. And we'll teach you how to build that strategic growth plan and what's worked for me and several others. We will get you there. So just show up next week. If you have any questions, this is where we all learn from each other. We'll welcome any questions that you may have about the worksheets. When you have questions, again, we all learn. I find I always learn as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you. We hope today was impactful. We hope that you were able to take home some valuable insights, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Got a thumb mark. I mean, I can stay on for a couple more minutes if anybody has any immediate questions. There's the chat window at the bottom right. Just type in whatever you want to type in. We can have some questions answered. Okay, I guess we'll call it a close. So next week we might go a little longer because we plan to leave a good chunk of the time for some Q&A. So please please, this is an intimate group, very small group. Everything is safe here. Whatever you want to bring your questions for next month. And we look forward to helping you. Take care, everybody. Thank you.